Hey everyone, Tony Penty here from Orioles Hangout. Just thought we'd try something new here and do a little bit of video blogging, I guess we can call it. We've done it before. Tried a couple different things. We're going to do some more things with this. We're going to try to get a split screen. I'm going to try to get in guys like Luke, and of course, I want to get in Terry Ford again, so we can try to do some things similar to what we were doing before. But for right now, I just wanted to kind of get a couple of things out there, get a chance to do this, get a test run, see how it looks, see how it works out, and if it keeps working out, we'll try to do these. I don't know, maybe once a week. We'll have to play it by ear. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, the Orioles are going to fourth game tonight. They were 2-1 New York, which was pretty amazing. I think everyone's probably amazed by that. I love the fact that this was the Orioles' first winning month since August 17. Yes, look, I know it was only 3 games, but we're still going to take it as our first winning month. It's a winning month. We'll take it. Let's have fun with it. Great series. Very interesting to watch the new Orioles, to watch Brandon Hyde manage. Very unique from what we've seen, very unconventional in a lot of ways. I was looking at the lineup for tonight's game. It's the fourth different lineup that he's used. The only 4 people who have actually been in the lineup every game in the exact same positions is Jonathan Ballard second, Richie Martin at shortstop, Rio Ruiz at third base, and Dwight Smith Jr. in left field, who has looked really, really good. In fact, he's been hitting the ball very hard. I've been looking at his exit velocities. They've been in every game. They're over 100. Talking about a guy who's making a great first impression. He's a solid left fielder out there. He doesn't look like he's going to hurt you at all. Maybe not a superstar defensively, but you got to like what he's bringing to the table right now, having some really good at bats up there. So it's been exciting to see him in there every day. Other folks so far, obviously, it's only 3 games in. We're talking about Brandon Hyde's managing. I find his bullpen usage to be obviously it's unconventional, but it's really interesting to watch. Basically, even though you obviously the second game of the year you had the opener with Nate Carnes, but even with the 2 starts with Cashner and Bundy not going 5, he had to kind of use his bullpen. What we really haven't seen in a long time. You're seeing guys that are going 2 and 3 innings. Norm typically would only do maybe an inning or 2. You're seeing guys get stretched out. I think the way he used Gibbons, we haven't seen that before. Obviously, Gibbons is what everyone considers probably the closer. He's easily the best reliever he has in his bullpen. And the fact that yesterday he came out, pitched the 8th inning, he had 26 pitches after that 8th inning. A little surprising to see him go back out into the ninth, especially with the 3-run lead after Joey Ricker hit that home run. So really interesting to see. He ended up throwing the most pitches he's ever thrown in the major league. So here's the thing, obviously we'll see how he bounces back. We'll see how this works. But he's using guys that they have never been used before. So it's something worth watching. It's very interesting. Obviously, you have guys like Jimmy Yacobonis. John Means has actually been fantastic in his outing yesterday. And Means I want to bring up is just the fact that John Means is a guy that we finally put on our prospect list last year when his slider improved. His fastball's never been fantastic. He was always 90, 92. He sometimes would bump up to 94. But, it was never a fantastic pitch, but he was able to spot it. But once that slider came around, he always had a changeup that was decent. The changeup improved last season. The slider much improved. We actually were able to bounce him onto the back end of our prospect list last year. And I'll tell you, obviously, the changeup is the pitch for him this year that he's going with. I don't know whether it's analytics. I don't know what they've done with him, but it's clear he's pitching differently than he even pitched in the minors. He basically was a fastball changeup guy yesterday against the Yankees. And he got 12 swings and misses off his changeup, 17 overall. That's a lot of swings and misses. It's definitely much higher than anyone else we've seen pitching for the Orioles over 1 inning. Really, it's at Michael Gibbons level of swing and miss stuff. So that pitch alone just goes to show you the equalizer that a good changeup can be for a lefty. Fantastic job by John Means. Again, let's see how he bounced back. When can they use him again after going to, I think, 3 1/3 innings? we also got to talk about Mike Wright. Mike Wright being brought in the first 2 games of the season. The second game being brought in when Givens had to come out, and he ends up striking 2 of the last 3 batters out, showing stuff that we really haven't seen since his debut. He was throwing 95 to 97, had some movement on the pitches. His cutter, he was offsetting with that cutter that he just kind of really started using a lot more this season. And the cutter was at 91, which is, again, about 2 or 3 miles an hour faster than we were seeing earlier, in spring training. So I tell you, 97 with a 91, 92 cutter can get guys out. So it's one of those things where that's going to be interesting to watch as it goes along. Can he bottle that type of emotion? Obviously, coming in, safe situation, New York. I give him credit for he didn't wilt to the situation. He actually took it up a notch. So really good for Mike Wright. Again, let's see. We're going to see this over a sustained amount of time. We've seen him kind of do this every once in a while, and then he kind of bounces back to also this fastball is 92, 93, and a lot of movement. And he has trouble missing bats at that point. So, again, just something to watch. Really interesting. So, obviously, going to Toronto tonight, David Hess is going to be on the mound. Hopefully, he can be the first pitcher to go at least 5 innings from the starter. Obviously, Bundy and Cashner were unable to do that. So, looking for good things out of him here, at least give him a good 5 to 6 innings. I'm sure they want to get some guys rested in that bullpen. Obviously, they used them a lot. Guys throwing those when you start getting into upwards of 2 to 3 innings, guys need multiple days normally to recover off of that at a minimum. And we just don't know how some of these guys are going to recover since this is an atypical usage for them. So it's going to be really interesting to watch how that bullpen should be a number of guys available tonight to go. Hopefully, they only have to cover 3 to 4 innings, this evening, and hopefully the Orioles will need another closer, and we'll have to see where they come up, because I doubt Givens can be available after throwing as many pitches he threw yesterday. So let's go ahead and switch over to the minor leagues. I know the minor leagues are going to get started up here Thursday. Obviously, where it's always exciting for us. It's always something we look forward to, and I'm sure you do as well. The minor league assignments this year, nothing really surprised when you look at break camp rosters. We go to Norfolk and managed by Gary Kendall. The only one I think some people were a little disappointed that he didn't make a double or didn't make AAA was Yusniel Diaz, who actually has gone back to Bowie to start there, especially after the spring he had. I think the Orioles, again, want to see guys kind of prove it at every level. And although he had some success in the Texas League, he struggled a bit when he came over here last year in the end of last season when he came over in Bowie. So the expectation is that, I think they want him to put some good numbers up, and then you can see him I would imagine he would get a promotion fairly quickly up to AAA, join hopefully at some point when Austin Hayes is able to get back over his wrist injury. We still don't have any real word on how long it's going to be. They said a couple of weeks, but I would imagine if we see him before May, we should probably count that as lucky. So the outfield right now in Norfolk is going to be Anthony Santana, DJ Stewart, Mason Williams, who's the next major leaguer with the Yankees, and Jacob Brugman will be doing some backups there. Ryan Mountcastle is going to highlight the infield. Obviously, Ryan is going to be interesting to see where he plays mostly. I imagine it's going to be first base. That's what he did a lot in spring training. He probably will still play some third base, but you're going to see him probably play a lot of first base. At least I'm going to hope that's where he's going to be playing is, because I think that's obviously going to be his best position as it goes forward. Catcher, obviously Chance Sisco was returned after a really solid spring. But when again, I think defensively is where they really want to see him take that step forward. And I think they want him to prove it offensively. Obviously hit the 4 home runs right away. Looked like Babe Ruth the first week of spring training. Then still kept getting on base. So it wasn't like he didn't have any more power, but he was getting on base at a pretty good clip. I think he had an on base percentage over 500. So that was definitely something that, again, he had a great spring. So let him go down to AAA, put up big numbers. And then see where that falls out. Right now, when you look at the Orioles catching, when you're looking at Jesus Sucre, Jesus Sucre had a great, he obviously had a great game the other day when he was the hitting star coming over. And then, of course, you have, we're just going to lose names, don't worry. this is why I have I think so. Pedro Severino also played really well yesterday. Now, whether he's going to hit, it's always going to be a question. But defensively, both those guys are obviously a step over Cisco, and it appears that Hyde and Elias are going to put, like most teams, are going to put a lot of they want that defensive catcher first. The hitting, whatever they can give you, is what they want. But so Cisco's going to have to up the game there, or else he's going to have a hard time trying to break through. Especially when Austin Wynns comes off the disabled list, they got to find a place for him. And if he goes back down to AAA, again, there's a lot of interesting things that will come up here soon with the catching. One of the top prospects that we have in the organization, and definitely going to be one of the guys there to keep an eye on. Brandon Klein was returned back to AAA as well. This will be his first shot up there. So again, you can see what Elias is doing. Even though these guys had good springs, they want to see those guys prove at that next level. So Klein's pitching well. He's definitely a guy that could be in the mix at some point for a job up in the big leagues. When you're going to imagine that with all these guys pitching innings, eventually you're going to have some openings and availability. And Klein is definitely one of those guys that's going to be right there on that cusp, so forth. So let's move down to Double A. Looking at Double A, obviously it's highlighted by Yusniel Diaz is going to be the top player there that you're going to want to keep an eye on. Ryan McKenna is probably going to be out in center field, I imagine, with Diaz over in right field most of the time, although they may want to look at Diaz occasionally in center field as well. And you can see McKenna maybe move over to right or left field when that occurs. But those are probably your top two prospects there when you're looking at everybody. Pitching wise, obviously Hunter Harvey is back there. For Hunter, it's all about staying healthy. It's also going to be interesting to see how they use him. Is he going to be in the rotation? They're looking at a guy that could be similar to, like, say, Jimmy Yacobonis, who maybe is a guy they look at as one of these three inning bridge guys. Hunter Harvey's going to have to kind of start moving here quickly and stay healthy for a year because the option years are going to start coming up on him soon. They're going to have to make a decision on him. Zach Lowther is going up there from the Keys. He's another guy that everybody's been very high on. This is the season. This is really the year for him with his kind of stuff, which isn't that overwhelming stuff, that pitchability lefty guy. But this is where you usually see what these guys can handle the next level. Can they handle? They start to really solidify their major league prospect bona fides when you see them do well in Double A. So big year for him. If he puts up the same type of numbers he's been putting up, he's a guy again that you can see up in Baltimore at some point. Maybe not this year, but maybe definitely some point in next year for him coming up. Moving down to double or A ball, moving to Frederick. When you look at Frederick, this is where you start to, I don't want to say you're getting into the lack of high level prospects, but this is definitely where you see some of the weakness of the system overall. Not a ton of guys here that you look down there and look at this roster and say, oh, this is a guy you're waiting on. The only big guy, obviously, it's going to be there. It's going to be DL Hall. Hall is obviously the top prospect in the organization. That's the guy you want to go see when you get an opportunity to go see. Another pitcher you definitely want to see is Brennan Hanafy, another starter. Those two guys are the top two prospects on this team. Those are the guys that definitely you want to keep an eye on as they move up. One other guy I will mention is getting a big jump from Aberdeen is J.C. Escara. He had a great. If you notice, the Orioles brought him up a lot in spring training to fill in late in games, and they really wanted to get a look at him. He's kind of a late bloomer kind of guy, and he's definitely a guy, I don't want to say he's Luke Scott. If you look at Luke Scott's career, he's a late bloomer, and he ended up having a good major league career, but he has a lot of the same kind of skill sets as we looked at with Luke Scott. So definitely keep an eye on J.C. Escara at first to see how he hits, how he deals with that jump from Aberdeen all the way up to Frederick, and see how that works out. The next level we'll cover will be Delmarva. Delmarva, obviously, one of the guys right away you look for is Grayson Rodriguez, our number 2 prospect. Starting there, he's going to get his opportunity in full season ball, and if he keeps throwing the way he threw just in his debut and what we heard down there, and we heard what he always pitching in the fall league and the instructional league. Really excited to see what he's going to do every day or every 5 days up on the mound, and how he handles the full season. Blaine Knight is also going to be there. He's another guy to keep an eye on, starter. Definitely a prospect guy. Very interesting to see that the Orioles actually demoted Alfelky Peralta, who has always been a guy who could throw hard, never had any idea where the ball was going. It's going to be interesting to see what role they use him in at all, and just to kind of see what they do. Another guy to keep an eye on, Delmarva, along with Grayson Rodriguez and Blaine Knight, is going to be Drew Rum. Drew Rum's making the jump. He was a high schooler last year, like Grayson Rodriguez was, and then went down to the GCL. Showed really well. Very smart pitcher. I won't call him a pitchability lefty yet, but he definitely has. We want to watch the velocity with him. We want to see if that's making a jump. If he's starting to sit in the low 90s, and start to bump up a little bit even more, you start to get even more excited about what you can see there. On In the infield, Adam Hall and Caden Grenier are going to be your two guys that you want to watch, both shortstops. So it's going to be interesting to see how the team is going to work those development, whether they're going to switch back and forth between shortstop and second base, or whether they decide that Adam Hall might be better off at second base. Maybe he'll get more time over there. But either way, those are guys that you want to watch. JC Encarnacion came over, and guys that didn't start with clubs due to injuries or other things. One guy you might be asking yourself is, where's make this too long in the first one? We want to try this out, see how it goes. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, let us know. Next time I'll try to put a link so you can watch it live. And hopefully we can get some conversations going, and we will try that. So thanks for watching, and we'll hopefully those go 3-1 tonight. If not, hopefully we can get a good game out of it. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys soon.